What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy J Dub, the #1 comment on YouTube, and I'm back with another review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 3. Now, for those who are new to my channel, as far as with Married at First Sight, I do the format of couple by couple to instead of doing a full detailed review. And I must say and give a big apology to everyone who watches my videos that I'm super late because I had a technical issue with uploading Married at First Sight since Thursday. So I had to get a new device to see if make sure everything that it ran smoothly. So let's just get right into the review. We start with Noy and Steve. They finally getting married. We've been waiting on this because I mean they dragged the weddings out so long. So we're here. And now we find a reason why the experts have matched Noy and Steve. We learned that Steve, his last name is Moy. So now Noy's name will be Noy Moy. Those are the kind of things that the experts match people together for stupid stuff like that. So she's been deemed the hopeless romantic. And I could kind of get an understanding of that. Because like when the wedding ceremony, you could see Noy was really emotional, like from when her family was mentioning her and when Steve was saying his vows, you could see her like tearing up and she was feeling it. And one thing that even got to me, Noy said in her vows, she was saying, you know, she's here for Steve in this life, and if there is an afterlife, she's gonna be there waiting for him too. And I was like, you know, it kind of got your boy J Dub right here. You know, it hit me. It hit me. I said I felt that. I listened to like all the vows, but I just really felt that meant something. And as far as Noy and Steve, it was, you know, they seemed to click initially. They seemed to be attracted to each other, and once they were married, you know, they seemed to have a level of comfort. And I would tell you, it's one thing that I guess something that, like how they matched them together. Steve did something that Noy really liked. He was presenting Noy with a second wedding ring. So instead of another diamond ring, which Noy was looking for, he got her a ring pop. And, you know, that shows Steve's fun side. So that really worked. And so they, you know, they've gone off happily ever after. And just in them, I guess, getting their wedding party together, Noy approached Steve and let him know that, hey, we do a traditional wedding garb here, like through my culture, and I would like you to wear it as a representation of my family because I consider you being in my family. And I really like that. I mean, I like traditions, even though I don't know a lot about traditions, because we as a people don't have a lot of traditions. Why? Due to slavery. And that's one of my unpopular opinions about like jumping the broom. I don't embrace that jumping the broom situation. Why? Because that is a direct representation of slavery. Back when we weren't considered people, we could not legally marry. And that's why we had to jump the broom to show our union. And to carry that on is, I'm not a fan of that. It's like us still eating, you know, chitlins and hog maws. We ate them back then and made them taste good because that's all we had. That's not it now. That's not something that's nutritional and something that's good for you in any kind of way. Just because we did it back then, we don't need to carry on those traditions. That's just my belief. So, yeah, she's giving them the garb and they're showing family unity. And while they were talking, like in the wedding party, my boy Steve, he did something I've never seen before, like how you tell your new wife that you don't have no job. I mean, I thought it was brilliant. You know, he hit Noy. Noy was just asking, like, you know, so what do you do for a living? And, or, you know, and he pretty much said, well, you know, before I was, you know, I was a manager of the, you know, of tech sales and everything. And they had a round of layoffs and I just happened to get caught up in that round. So, you know, of layoffs. So, after I got, you know, laid off, I just took a 4-month road trip. And Noy was kind of taken aback, like 4-month road trip. Like, I mean, it rightfully doesn't make sense because it's a difference to take a step back when you experience something traumatic and kind of recalibrate, get your thoughts together and all that going on. But I mean, just think about it. Everybody who's listening to my voice, see my face. Imagine spending 4 months away from your home. To me, when you gone for 4 months, you don't live there anymore, with the exception of people in the military of some of nature. 4 months. I mean, I don't want to be away from my house for 7 days. That's like the max. I mean, that's too long right there. It's like, okay, I'm ready to go back home. 4 months, and he's not telling the whole story. He's just like, I just want a road trip, went down to see a couple of people. I didn't hear him say, I slept in my RAV4 with the dent on the passenger side, as camp, as lodging, or whatever the case may be, because he make it sound like it's fun. But Noy's like, well, hey, in her confessional, she's like, yeah, him being unemployed, she's kind of side-nodding, but saying like, Steve seems like a guy that he would get that together, and it seems like a temporary situation. So she hopes, but that's definitely a super flying red flag. How can you hold down a family when you don't have income coming in and you don't even have health insurance? So, a lot of people say, oh, he's got savings, and he ain't said none of he had savings. When his family found out or spoke of him being unemployed, his sister said, like, hey, I think your wife is really going to want you to work. So in this 4 months, you haven't secured another job. That's very concerning in every way. But some people don't have a problem with it. Why? They say this is the age of the big resignation. Everybody's just quitting their job. They fall on their dreams. They going on the road trip in their RAV4 with their dent on the side of it, on the passenger side, and spending the insurance money. So it's a different world and time. I guess now the new husbands can do that. Maybe he'll make a great stay-home dad. They can have kids instantly, because guess what? He ain't got nothing to do. So what really threw me off, like after the wedding, Noy's brother like pulled Steve to the side, and he wanted to know, like, hey Steve, what's gonna go on for the night? He like what's the night? Our wedding night? Or hey, he like, yeah, the night. Like, he want to know what's going on in the bedroom. And Steve was like thrown off, and he was like, yeah, well, we just met each other. There's no rush for that. And brother like, yeah, you could go ahead and do that. Y'all are married and everything. I'm like, I thought that was such an odd conversation for somebody's brother to have with you and pushing you to make a move on their sister. So let's go to the next couple. So we got Katina and Olajuwon, or AKA Isaac, as we like to call him. And, as me being the number one commenter, I get into the comments, and I kind of heard or kind of see people talk about like Katina is like a vibe on a hooked on phonics kind of situation. And I kind of got that vibe too, for the fact of the matter, she can't say her husband's name, Olajuwon. She say all kind of things, even call him the different name. Or even when she said, well, hey, the men I used to deal with, they are used to dealing with a lot of women. I don't know a lot of people caught that, but I did. I'm that detailed kind of person. I catch and see things, and some things I don't want to catch and see, but those are one of them. So I get that hooked on phonics kind of situation with Katina. And as far as Olajuwon, I've always thought and said something is really off about him. And initially I thought it was like more so he was nervous, just a nervous guy. He didn't know what to do with himself. But even when he's alone, he's like very chatty, and he talks to like convince himself. And as I said, he gets into that thing when he get to start talking about something serious, he'll just start going. He'd be like, well, me getting married is just going to just wipe away all my sins, and I'm not about any funny business. I'm just a straight guy. I'm like, I get dizzy watching that from Olajuwon, and later we're going to learn why he has that over the top personality. And another fun fact I found out, like both of them, they don't even know each other's name. Katina calls Olajuwon Elijah, and Olajuwon calls Katina Katrina. So maybe it's a match made in heaven. So as far as interaction with Olajuwon and Katina, I was really surprised by Olajuwon. Why? Because he was so adamant that the definition of a wife is for what he. The first thing came out of his mouth is what does he want in a wife? And the only thing I heard, it says she has to cook. He needs a hot meal on the table every single day, and she needs to go to the strip club. And they're thinking like, hey, what about if your wife can't cook? And he's like, no, she's not a wife. She's not a wife. And he was very adamant about that. If the woman can't cook, she's not a wife. And that's it. Wasn't no compromise in it. So we see Olajuwon getting into Katina. He's very impressed. He likes what he sees. And so now he's like, well, can you cook? I'm getting a little worried. And she's like, I cook, pretty much you eat or whatever. And he's okay with that. He said, we'll work on that. Before, if you couldn't cook, you wasn't a wife at all. But he likes what he sees in Katina. And what was a really funny situation as far as with Katina's mother. She sat down with Olajuwon, and Katina's mother just is a little off to me myself. I mean, like her attitude. And she even asked Olajuwon, who named you Olajuwon? Like, my mother or somebody? Like, that's a very offensive question. What if Olajuwon said, why didn't you name your daughter Katrina instead of Katina? It's the same thing. And I don't know how mom felt comfortable with that. Sometimes older people, they really lose their filter, or they're very comfortable without having a filter and treating people in a certain way. And as far as I was telling you, that we are going to learn that why Olajuwon has an overtop personality, he reveals to Katina's mother that he has ADHD. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now there's an explanation why, like, he can't focus. He's so chatty. And, Katina's mother, she doesn't have a filter. She say, hey, well, you treated with meds. And pretty much Olajuwon said, I'm keeping it under control or whatever. It's not that bad. I just kind of get distracted when I speak. And in the mean-spirited way, Katina's mother was why she was talking, because Olajuwon was going into them long-winded rants and, all that straight shooter talk. And, I don't even want to shake my head. I'm getting dizzy doing it. But she just got tired of sitting there with Olajuwon and said, hey, look, over there, rabbit. And he looked, and she gone. And he looking like, And that was it was kind of funny, but I said it was mean-spirited. She just played on that man insecurity about him having ADHD. And so we know she's not feeling him at all. And I would say, as far as Olajuwon's friends, when they was talking to Katina, they they didn't paint him in a good light. That's what I'm gonna say, because his best man is telling Katina, like, pretty much anything that you tell Olajuwon, you need to tell him maybe 1 to 3 times over and over again until he gets it. And I'm like, that's something like you hear from a young child. Like, they're not clicking, not your new husband. I don't know how that makes sense. But again, maybe that's related to the ADHD. And his brother don't do any better in telling Katina, like, he has that that view that he wants to mold Katina into what he thinks a perfect wife is. And I'm like, even Katina, like, it's alarming. It's very alarming. You're just trying to know each other, and before I even get to know you, I'm going to make you into who I want you to be. And it sounds all bad. And we get to the the after party, the wedding party, and they having a good time dancing, and we see Olajuwon doing his part-time job or something he aspires to do later in life. He's stripping in front of the whole crowd. He's doing it for Katina after he did the little garter ceremony, and he pulling up his shirt, he grabbing his crotch. Her mother like 6 feet away, and I'm like, Isaac, I don't know what to do with you, and it's something. And speaking of the things I was telling you, because I'm so detail oriented, some things I don't want to witness, hear, or see, or anything. And one was that when Olajuwon and Katina was getting ready for bed after the wedding night. So, it's something with production. They like to see Olajuwon with no shirt. And in the bedroom scene, it was no different. This time he had nothing but his boxer briefs on. And he jumping into bed, and this man jumped into bed with some stains on his underwear. It's like, I can't identify him. I don't even know. I can't even go that deep, but I couldn't help to see that. Like, you got like 10 million people looking at you, and you don't have enough sense to put on brand new, clean underwear, in which, on the wedding night, it must be a traditional married at first sight. Nobody takes a bath. You've been out 15 hours, you hopping in that bed as you are. But I'm like, come on. Like, I was blown black. I was like, I couldn't unsee that, but I had to say it. So let's, on that note, let's just go to the next couple. My favorite, Michael and Jasmina. No, they not my favorite. But for a second, I'm kind of starting to see it for them. Because before, it seemed like Jasmina was kind of playing the situation where she was being a good sport for the cameras. That's what I said like last week or whatever. But I'm starting to see her like really warm up to it, because naturally Jasmina has a great personality and even some sense of humor. Like when they click clanking for them to give a kiss while they're at the wedding dinner or whatever, she puts up a mistletoe. I thought that was funny, kind of break the ice. But it's really needed because Michael like often seems super uncomfortable and awkward around Jasmina, and he really needs to come out of that. He's singing that song, I just got to be vulnerable. Because they're going to play on that. And as I said, Married at First Sight, they aren't putting people together for them to be successful. They want to play on your triggers, trauma bond you, all that kind of stuff that's going to be destructive. And Michael's just playing into it. He's like super uncomfortable. Like Jasmina is just the one coming forward, almost like doing all the work. I didn't see it for them before, but Jasmina's working hard in this marriage, and they could work. Michael is definitely going to have to open up and just, come out his vulnerable shell. When you hopping in this process, you got to do the work. You already know that's your weakness, but he going along with it. What I did like, and what I said before about how close Michael and his sisters are, they really embraced Jasmina, and she really took to that well. And I really think that was a very positive situation, because I guess especially having a new marriage, having like family support can help throughout the situation. Even though the marriage is between you two, that support could help when people are cheering for you, rooting for you, or there to help whatever they need. And one thing, it kind of was off when Jasmina spoke about her family situation. She was saying like, hey, I'm not used to having a close family. I'm normally going over, in between homes on holidays through my mom and my dad. And as far as I knew, her dad like left for Jamaica. I don't know, soon as she broke up with her stepmom, which is her real mom who adopted her. And I don't know if he immediately left, but she was talking about splitting time in between. Because I'm like, why would she have to adopt you if your dad was still around? I don't know. Like I said, it may be a timeline thing, but I pick up on everything. It was something that was revealing that could be trouble in Jasmina and Michael's marriage. Michael tells Jasmina he's pretty much out the door at like 4 a.m. and doesn't come home till like 7. And that's all week. And that certainly could be problematic for a new marriage. Now, even in a regular marriage, not seeing each other that much time, because you only get an hour or two to spend with each other till you got to get up and go. And then he even said he works on Saturday for sure, and his schedule's all over the place. So I'm like, how does he even have any time? I didn't hear him say, well, I'm pretty busy, but I will adjust for this new marriage. Jasmina looked really disappointed, and she took it as like someone like from her past who's emotionally unavailable, because I understand where she's coming from. He's not going to be there to connect with her, and they don't even know each other. So that will be problematic. And I guess that's a real struggle in real life, especially as the man is supposed to be there to provide, and he got to get it however he got to get it, and it's got to be a balance. So now maybe more settled relationships or marriages could like survive something like that type of schedule, but a brand new one certainly cannot. So Jasmina has every right to be concerned about his schedule. And I still don't know about them. I'm thinking like we putting this marriage on Jasmina's back because she's doing the work. And I'm not sure. As I said, Michael tries to warm up. He's even in the doing the removing of the garter ceremony. He's doing his old man dance and all that. And I don't know if Jasmina like it or not, but it looked funny. And they even get to the awkward honeymoon night, and they laying in the bed, and Jasmina saying like, "Are you uncomfortable with me laying in the bed with a stranger?" Because it seems pretty uncomfortable, and Michael's like, no, it's okay, or I'm good. And when she's like, well, I'm a cuddler, I like to cuddle. And he's like, well, yeah, that's the benefit of being married when you cuddle. But you can see it's all Jasmina. So I don't know about them. We're gonna see. We're gonna definitely find out. So let's go to the next couple. We got Lindsey and Mark the Shark. Now it's clear to see Lindsey is like she's way too much for Mark the Shark. She's way over the top. She's an oversharer. She'll like to tell her new husband, hey, I've definitely seen a lot of naked bodies. She lacks that class that's kind of needed, that tact. And I'm thinking, like, why does Mark the Shark need to know how many naked bodies you've seen? And it more seems like Mark the Shark is going along for the ride, and he claims he wants a person with a lot of energy like him, but I don't think he's ready for Lindsey. Might call her Lindsey the Shark. And something I noticed Mark the Shark does, he does something I've never really seen before. He does a reverse blink. He's like, when he speaks, when he's putting emphasis on something, he blinks backwards. He said, well, I'm a person who goes hard. I go hard in the gym. I go hard in life. And I mean, that's how I do. I just work hard, And I'm like, Mark, why are you doing that? Your eyes is already big enough. I didn't get it, but something I got to point out. That's how I am. I really still can't tell if Lindsey is truly attracted to Mark. She says she is. I don't know. And she sends those mixed signals as well. Like she's ready to get it on with him. And then 1 minute, I don't know him. He's a stranger. I'm not doing that. And we don't know. I don't know if it's the alcohol or what going on. I don't know if we're seeing the real Lindsey yet. And, with Mark, he just seems like a regular guy, as we say. He does look like a shark, though. And to me, he's the only person on this season that actually has the Boston accent, that annoying Boston accent. I can't begin to imitate it, but it's pretty annoying when you hear it. And, I'm big on that because I like to see the authenticity of people who live there. I want to get that feel, because that's the case. You can film anywhere and bring anybody in if you don't have the people from the city. So, Mark, I think he really tried to fill like his void of not having a close family with Lindsey's family, which I thought was okay. It kind of came off like he was trying a little too hard, but Lindsey's father and brothers really seemed to be open to it or what have you. And we just going to see how that works. I still don't have a verdict for them as well. Lindsey's going to, she seems problematic until we see the real Lindsey. So let's go and wrap it up with the last couple, Alyssa and Chris. And I kind of initially, even though we're going to go beyond Alyssa picking 10 dresses, off that never satisfied attitude, I kind of thought she was kind of open to the process when Chris had sent her like a gift and a note. We never saw the gift, but the note was pretty touching, and it kind of lined up to where she was in life and thinking in direction. So I'm like, okay, they might have a chance. They already connected without seeing each other. And but I was wrong, because as we see when they're approaching the aisle, Alyssa starts talking about being physically attracted to her husband. Now, I could see how wanting to be that, but focusing on that so much because you're allowing the experts to pick your mate for you, and you don't know what they're going to look like. And she gets on it with the thing where she says that, hey, if the man's teeth ain't right, I'm going to call for a dentist right then and there. And I get that. That's a thing for people in teeth. And unfortunately, Married at First Sight knew that Alyssa likes nice teeth. Who they pick? Chris. You can see, like, people's teeth at the bottom are flat other than maybe the canine teeth. Chris got all canine teeth. Chris looked like he been biting on curves. They all jagged and ragged, Married at First Sight, you did it again. You want that Jacob and Haley dynamic, somebody chasing somebody who don't even like them. They want that. And they're okay with humiliating Chris in the process. I'm not really with that, but I'm not going to get worked up about it because they want the drama. We got it. But yeah, I'm still, Chris, hey, you talking about making all these $1 million deals? Well, why we can't get them teeth straightened, $1 million deals. You doing that, right? $1 million deals. So why not invest in yourself? I'm sure you got plenty of business cards. Put some of that with the dental work. But okay, moving on. So after they get married, you can see, you already saw that Alyssa really not feeling him. She's not attracted, so she's going along. She even kissed him. I was surprised. And the first thing that Chris the Shark wants to tell her that he's the vice president of the New England Disc Golf Association. I'm like, that's a way to impress your new wife, Chris. Tell her that. No one cares about that. But he seems pretty optimistic. He's over optimistic that this thing is going to work. And we know it ain't going to work. She don't like him. She's like repulsed by him. She don't want to be close to him. She don't want to be in the same spaces as him. She don't want to take pictures with him. She's saying she was looking for a husband. She got a real estate agent. And that's not a good thing. And I would say Chris is already stepping into that people pleaser road as he said he would. If his wife doesn't like something, he's going to be right there to just hop right in there. And he's doing that. He's already sold himself. It's over. It's done. He's going to lose himself completely trying to get Alyssa to like him. And that's going to be pretty sad. And it's going to be a bumpy ride. And I would say Chris's friends, they didn't do him any good service because they straight threw him under the bus telling Alyssa that he's very condescending and he's a teacher who's going to like force information down your throat. And how is that helping anything? It doesn't help at all. The man's already begging for her to like him. And she, again, at the end, she pretty much uses that as a strategy to get him away from her. And at the end, the producer asked, like, what's wrong? And she's like, well, I heard some disturbing things his friend said about him. And the producer said, like, well, hey, did he show you that tonight? And, she didn't have an answer for that because he didn't. But she found a way to not be with him, spend the night with him, or just have that barrier between them because she don't like him. It would be okay just to say, hey, it's going to take some time. We doing a Doug and Jamie thing. I'm not really feeling you. I'm not attracted to you. But she's not a straight shooter. She left everybody's up in their honeymoon room. She got that man waiting in the lobby and pretty much came and told him some fluff about, hey, well, I heard some things and I just don't think we should hit a reset and just start over tomorrow, but we could do it separate. And Chris is like confused, like, you want to know anything? Can I clear up anything? He even apologized for something he didn't even know that he did. So it's a mess. So what can I say? Well, to me, like, that was it for that episode. But the next episode is going to looks like it's warming up because they're going to start telling each other they love each other on the honeymoon. And then there's going to be some drama. So I can't wait to see it. So as I say, I appreciate y'all patience and y'all stay rocking with me. Again, y'all could be anywhere in this YouTube world, but you're here with me. I really appreciate that, and I really mean it.